Robert Smith is an insurance agent who works for an African American insurance company. On the 13th of February, a Friday, Robert Smith goes on top of the Mercy Hospital roof with blue silk wings and promises that he will fly across Lake Superior. As a crowd is gathered around Not Doctor Street, a woman is singing a song, and Robert Smith falls off the hospital and dies. Something that stands out as you read the novel Song of Solomon would be the characters' names, as you've probably never met a guitar before. But upon closer inspection, 3 names have canonical origins and aren't just placed there for show, those being Milkman, the surname Dead, and Guitar, the latter getting his name because he really wanted a guitar when he was little, and that's about it. However, a lot of characters have names that show the roles they play in the novel. Once again, Guitar goes through the development in which he wants to have a purpose, and finds it in the 7 days. An African American group that sought to avenge every black murder with a white one. Due to music being a notable career for African Americans at the time, Guitar's name, coming from an instrument, foreshadowed the fact that he would eventually acquire a purpose in life through a career, in this case, being in the 7 days. Ruth Foster's name symbolizes her unhealthy attachment to her father after his death, and the fact that she continued to breastfeed her son until he was 4 years old. In both cases, she was fostering them. The surname Dead is less clear in symbolical meaning. However, canonically, it was due to a mistake done when Macon Sr. was filling out his name on paper. The character Hagar doesn't have a last name, which symbolizes the fact that she has trouble forming her own identity. Since having a last name shows what family you're from, it's like not having a community that you feel that you belong to, so you feel as if you have nowhere to go, with regards to your surname. This is evident by when Hagar is obsessive over Milkman after Milkman leaves her. To Hagar, Milkman was her sense of belonging that she wished for. Macon Jr. was very bitter towards everyone in the novel. However, I felt that he viewed Milkman in a different light than everyone else in the family. When Macon Jr. tells Milkman about Ruth Foster and how she kissed her dead father's fingers, Milkman becomes disgusted, and this causes him to relate to Milkman with their disgust towards Ruth Foster. Moments like these allow Macon Jr. to warm up to Milkman, evident by when Macon Jr. explains to Milkman the basics of business and profit, and then encourages Milkman to get a job. Although they're bonding over materialistic values, it's bonding nonetheless. Although it isn't mentioned, Milkman's view of his father changes when he sees the peacock with the gold accessories. Once he gets on a car, it goes crazy. This tells Milkman that money ultimately weighs you down, and that you'll go crazy with it. This message is seen again through Milkman's discovery of the dead Butler family, as he finds out that once the Butler family lost their money, they all died, and eventually the last one left went mad and committed suicide. These 2 instances gave Milkman a new perspective on Macon Jr. On the other side of the spectrum, you have Lena, who views Milkman as a nuisance. This is evident by when Milkman comes home drunk, and Lena accuses Milkman of peeing on everything in the house. She uses this occasion to explain to Milkman that he ruined her life because he peed on her dress once, and that Milkman was spoon-fed his whole life since his sisters and mother took care of everything, such as the laundry and the bed. And in return, Milkman metaphorically pees on them. Lena also tells Milkman about the maple tree that was planted the day when Milkman peed on her dress. She explains that the tree is symbolic of the consequences that Milkman's actions has, as it's there to remind Milkman of his poor treatment towards his family. However, I feel the tree goes even further than that, as it represents nearly everything Milkman regrets in his life. For example, when he was breastfed by Foster until he was 4, the callback is made because Lena mentions that Milkman was spoon-fed metaphorically. However, in this case, he was also spoon-fed literally by Ruth Foster. Guitar became a member of the 7 days, and that began the drift that you see between Milkman and Guitar. Guitar sees 7 days as a purpose, and Milkman doesn't agree with its murderous ideology, despite Guitar's justifications. The purpose Guitar finds in 7 days parallels Milkman's search for purpose and identity. This is exemplified by when Guitar scolds Milkman for doing nothing with his life. As once Milkman is told this, he begins to contemplate his purpose, eventually deciding that he wants to escape from his family, stating this is his purpose, similar to Guitar's purpose in the 7 days. Once Milkman and Guitar plan a trip to Pennsylvania to steal the green bag, and after they get arrested, their relationship deteriorates. Milkman and Guitar see the aforementioned peacock with the gold accessories, and after the car goes crazy, Milkman sees the danger of 7 days in Guitar, since Guitar was also set on making money, which is similar to how Milkman started to perceive his father. After this conflict, Milkman decides he wants to go on the venture solo, and is set on being independent from Guitar, in the name of purpose. Fast forward to the conclusion of the novel, where Guitar has shot Pilot. In her final moments, Milkman sings the same song sung to Robert Smith in the beginning of the novel, and a crow takes the snuff box earring placed by Pilot on her father's grave. Milkman and Guitar face to face. Milkman's filled with despair, and Guitar drops his weapon. Milkman leaps forward towards Guitar, jumping off of Solomon's Leap, and the novel says, "For now he knew what Shalimar knew. If you surrendered to the air, you could ride it." To give context to the conclusion of the novel, Solomon was Milkman's great-grandfather, whose story was set in Solomon's general store. What happened was that Solomon left his wife, Raina, and her kids to fly to Africa. And lastly, we see Milkman, who didn't even know he had wings to begin with, eventually found them, and through his journey, learned how to use them by jumping off of Solomon's Leap and surrendering to the air. Milkman has made sense of flying.
So I'm thinking, how can I make a contemporary story about a black man, young black man, who learns to fly, or who makes his escape? Not geographical escape back to Africa, but another mindset.
Yes.
How does he escape the prison, the cultural prison that he found himself in? And that was his journey. It's a kind of an unlearning and a learning.